her say we're on the air. Good evening from PAP, Public Access Poetry. Tonight we have first production of The Errant Albanian, featuring Simon Pettet as Monsieur Cloud, Daniel Krakauer as Sheep, Lenny Goldstein as the Rock, and John Stokes as the Tree. And this is a play by the Consumptive Poets League. And we now have the Consumptive Poets League. As soon as I take this mic that is twisted on my neck off. And this is a great time waster. Give it to one of the consumptive poets who will now consumpt. You say that there is something that you think I should know. You say he's in love with you and I should let him go. You say that you can take him, but I don't think you can. And you ain't woman enough to take my man. Well, women like you are a dime a dozen, you can buy them anywhere. To get to him, I have to move over and I'm gonna stand right here. It'll be up in my dead body, so get out while you can. Because you ain't woman enough to take my man. Sometimes a man looks at things that he don't really need. Just because he looked twice at you, I'm the one he needs. You think that you can take him, but I don't think you can. And you ain't woman enough to take my man. Well, women like you are a dime a dozen, you can buy them anywhere. To get to him, I have to move over and I'm gonna stand right here. It'll be up in my dead body, so get out while you can. And you ain't woman enough to take my man.
I come south from eternity. I push the laws to break and squeal. Ride a horse in the falling rain. Powder burns on every meal. Chana Chaka, you're the one. You come in like the milkweeds come. Chana Chaka, you're the one. You come in like the milkweeds come. Someone fell, there was no time. We couldn't stop. We took his mind. So many places. Ace in the hole. Got us through. We had to get through, covering every dotted line. A woman called drowned. The woman was drowned. Went down in the channel, turning the drowned. The woman around. A woman called drowned. Went down in the saddle. Burn. A castle. Want to be between your thighs.
Sandalwood I burn, roller coaster, ride the whip, house of pillows.
And Mrs. Taylor sure seems to use a lot of
And the
eyes
lights
whenever
go
he's
round
away.
and round and round, and the
World.
turns.
And Mr. Baker, can you
Go
tell us
brown.
how
And the
your
lights
secretary
go
had to
round,
leave this
and the
town?
lights go round.
I was young, it was no surprise. Danger, danger, mesmerized. I was young, it was no surprise. Danger, danger, mesmerized.
And the lights go round.
I was
And the
young,
lights go round.
it was no surprise.
And the lights go round.
Danger,
And the
danger,
lights go round.
mesmerized.
Ride the rails, ride the rails. Scratch your name on the side of the
Well,
train.
this is just a little
Fading
dating
to
place
the
and you're
heart.
a Hopper Valley hypocrite.
Help me, Mick.
Your flesh robs in craters, so jagged and revealed. Your eyes dripping madness from some other room. The moon rules the island. You shining cold armor, flawless and gripping, as a star falling dry in the land where your fathers had spilled their cold spurt on. Their great tracking stars now, and the darkness brings shining for heartlands and fire, a mutant race, dancing pale in some beautiful desolate place. But now tossing on mattress, grown hard from the years of bodies that sweated and burrowed in fear in a tenement winter. I wait for the daylight. We'll meet when the kingdoms have fallen away. We'll meet when the kingdoms have fallen away.
The shock waves have now worn off, so we shrug our shoulders at outrageous teenage sex and outrageous teenage drugs. After all, if we close our eyes for a second, it will go away. And if it doesn't, we, as parents, pretend it never existed in the first place. Now there is yet another little horror on the horizon that this beautiful, free-living, liberal life has given us. But let us not close our eyes this time, for fear of our lives. I am talking about teenage murder, not teenagers who are the victims of murder, although, God help us, there is enough of that. I'm talking about murderers, cute little teenagers who stand only as high as your chest. As short as they are still tall enough to point a tiny gun at your head and blow your brains clean through your skull. I have come in a taxi to save the universe.
I have come in my pants to save on laundry bills.
I have been looking in garbage cans all day and I still can't find Popeye.
I've been digging this grave for most of my life.
The stump, the stub, the sentence, the crime, the saliva that sails to steal guitars.
I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree. The shock waves have worn off. Nihilism, a doctrine that nothing exists, is noble, or can be communicated. Rejection of all distinctions in moral value, constituting a willingness to refute all previous morality. Why has God permitted wickedness to go on for so long? Because God is so much stronger. He could have wiped out these human and spirit rebels at the start, but that would not have settled matters satisfactorily. Why not? Because it was not God's strength that was challenged. The issues raised were moral ones. A vital issue among them was this: would the way of rebellion prove successful? Could rulership that ignored God bring lasting benefits to the entire human family? Would God's rulership of people be better for them, or would man's rulership be better? God, in his wisdom, knew that this and other key issues raised would take time to settle. So he had allowed a definite period of time that would give humans ample opportunity to arrive at the peak of their political, social, industrial, and scientific achievements. That time period could not just take a few days or a few years. It would take many generations for the answer to be demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt. Court cases can take 2 weeks, months, even where only 2 people are involved. The great issues at stake relative to God rule demand a full answer, not a halfway settlement. And we can be glad of this, since only such a settlement can open the way for unending peace and security for all God's universal family on heaven and earth.
The fruit dried in the sun and started to stink.
Dow Jones dropped.
The old lady hit the old dog.
Kick Jones when he's down.
Something stinks.
The dog just stood there.
Next stop, downtown.
An ambulance came for the old lady.
Next stop, uptown. The shockwaves have now worn off. 25 years and more. A cure. No pallor, no disease. The gloating and thriving and flesh sexuality have faded. Disease is love transformed. The hectic glow, how interesting. True consumptives can always manage to pale, to cough, blood on handkerchief, to die. There are still artists, still cold water flats, still rice to subsist on. There is still disease, consumption, rickets. They may shrink till they stand only as high as your chest. The artists blow your brains away as surely as the murderer. They offend, they alienate. They show you the things you live among so you may know yourself. They cough in your face, they cough at your door. They blow your head off, the artists.
I have come in a taxi to save the universe.
Next stop, downtown.
Dow Jones dropped.
The stump, the stub, the sentence, the crime, the saliva that sails from steel guitars.
I've come in my pants to save on laundry bills.
The old lady hit the old dog.
The fruit dried in the sun and began to stink.
Kick Jones when he's down.
I've been digging this grave for most of my life.
The dog just stood there.
I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree.
An ambulance came for the old lady.
I've been looking in garbage cans all day and I still can't find Popeye.
Something stinks.
Next stop, uptown.
I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree. Black you lose, red you win. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. Put down 5, pick up 10. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win.
Being a French tree. Monsieur the cloud.
See, I don't get angry when I lose. Come on, put down 5, pick up 10.
Being a
Sometimes you
German
can't,
tree.
sometimes you can.
Monsieur the cloud. What are they playing? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? How are they doing it? Are they
Put
doing
down
it?
5,
How
pick
are
up
they
10.
doing it?
Come
How are
on,
they
pick
doing
them out
it?
here.
How are they doing
Pick
it?
them out.
Hi-ho the dairy.
See, I don't get angry when I lose. Put down 5, pick up 10.
that? Is
Sometimes
that a
you
rock?
lose and sometimes
That's
you win.
not a rock. Is that a rock? That's not a rock.
Ah,
Is it a tree? That's not a tree.
put down 5, pick up 10. Come on, check them out here, folks.
rock.
Easy money. Put down 5, pick up 10. Like you lose, red
One
you
of the first
win.
things I discovered when I came over to see the rock was that all he ever says is nothing.
See, I don't get angry when I lose. Come on now, easy money here. Put down 5, pick up
Hello,
10.
sheep. How you doing?
Like you lose, red you win.
I am from.
You know the poem, I won as lonely as
Like you
I
lose.
was as lonely as my father, that cloud. Yeah. You know the poem?
Put down
I was
5,
lonely
pick
as
up
a sheep.
10. Come on, don't cause me trouble, lady.
Neither do I. No, but I once had a
Easy money
really
here.
nice
Something for
hamburger.
nothing. Pick 'em out.
Sing that one out. Where's the tree going? I don't
Come
see the
on,
tree.
come on over here, beautiful. I think you got some money for me.
Oh, there it is. What sort of tree are you then? You a birch tree?
A maple tree.
You're a maple tree.
Yeah, I'm a sap. I use sap from maple syrup.
Hey, you got any?
This is sap.
Any more trees around? Do I see any more trees?
No, but I stepped on
What's
a
that?
tree recently.
Trees of crab.
Trees are crab. Trees company.
There's a stream.
Come on, come on. Black you lose, red you win. Put down 5, you pick up 10.
I feel like raining. Anybody want me to rain?
No, don't rain on me.
Anybody want me to rain?
See, I don't
Stream?
get any
No, you got
Rain
rain.
on the rocks, the rocks
Oh, the
dirty.
desert ones to win.
Where's the desert?
Down
I don't see no
5,
desert.
5, lady.
Please, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You don't think I real money?
Yes. West.
Come on,
First
pick 'em
time I
out. Black you
discovered
lose
that I
and
was
red
a
you
clown, I
win.
felt real upset about it. Second time I discovered I was a clown, I felt slightly better. Third time I discovered I was a clown, I felt positively ecstatic. Fourth time I discovered I was... Hey, sheep. Fifth time I discovered I was a clown, I felt totally outrageous. Sixth time I discovered I was a clown, I felt a little bit upset about it. But the seventh time I was discovered I was a clown, it really didn't matter anymore.
Takes time to get used to it.
Hand me a piece of aluminum.
Takes time to get used to everything.
I've been a rock for 3 years now.
3 years, how's it feel?
Pretty good, pretty sedimentary.
Pretty solid.
Well, you don't have fertilizer on you, do you? That's how a tree feels.
I get my
Come
bad
on, easy money here, easy money. Put down 5 and pick up 10. What?
I'm a lucky rock.
I'm a lucky cloud.
I can't solve.
Hey, I really do feel
Ain't
like
nobody
raining.
gonna play with me today? Come on. Something for nothing here.
Maybe I'll rain in little bits.
Put down 5 and pick up
Not
10.
all at once, 'cause
Sometimes
I don't
you
have
can't,
that much
sometimes
water.
You can.
Maybe I'll rain in big bits all at once. Get it all out. Maybe I won't win at all. Maybe I'll just hover. Hi, tree.
Hello, bud.
Can I hang over you?
Don't rain.
I won't rain, but
Okay, you can hang.
Can
Don't
I hang
rain. I mean, rain is out. No, wait.
no.
More than
No rain. No rain. You can cloud over me, but don't rain over me.
start on cockroach.
No rain.
No, you rain on the rock.
Rain on the rock.
You want rain?
You want rain. I don't want rain.
Sheep, do you want rain?
Rain.
Stream, do you want rain?
Oh, he wants
That
rain.
stream's real dumb. But he's funny. He's got enough water.
The place was a shambles. I was amazed. A sticky black substance covered the floor. I began to puke only to find myself standing in line. As the evening shifted, I began to sing. All the neon of time smashed me in the face. I raised my hand in a useless, but what's this? Is chaos extinct? I expected more of you. You have all the makings of a real, but,
Wretch, wretch.
That was a terrible winter. He's not asleep. He's dead. Life was full of little surprises.
Shoulder
On
to
your
shoulder,
toes, marching
shoulder
like Nazis
to
to
shoulder,
oblivion. Let's go. There seems to be a tie-up on the...
Lopsided, she said she
we built a
wanted
fire,
a
burning
daiquiri,
everything down, but it didn't make me feel
black
better.
and white
I began to
daiquiri,
play with the
lime,
explosives,
daiquiri,
molding
black
it
and
like
white
clay,
daiquiri,
figures of
lime,
people I
olé,
hated.
oh yeah,
We gave
yes.
it to the children to play with
1
and
out of
laugh.
2.
Things have
Ain't
cleared up
bad.
since our little
Somewhere
vacation on the
in
road. The
Sioux
road ahead was
somewhere
totally clear
in
and alien. You
Sioux
live or you die.
somewhere
Nothing
in
is really that
Sioux
strange.
I
We had
know
to find
what's
poison for
going
vermin.
on.
The last 2 weeks
in
of August were hell. If we had had money, it would have been different. But the free lunch line stretched all the way to the end of the block. Being able to cop gave me a feeling of security. 2 minutes' notice was enough. At times, I frightened myself only to recover. Shedding each new satellite, I feared stability, avoiding commitments like a legionnaire. I became crazy like the moon, a mere reflection. The pounding on the roof kept me from sleeping. I knew I had to win the lottery, the Empire Stakes.
What's a
My
nice
survival
girl?
hinged on it, the
doing
Empire
like
Stakes.
you?
I had been in the Empire for years. It seemed as if my knowledge was complete. I knew it like my bloodstream, surviving in a series of endless holding patterns.
What's a
If
girl
anyone
doing
could take
in
the
a nice
golden
bar like
stake,
this?
it was me, and
Do
I
nice
staked my
girl,
life
what
on
like
it.
bar like girl like
It was
girl.
fall,
Do
wind blew
like
through the
bar
open
like
window
you
all
like
night.
this in a bar.
It was a total
Doing
case
bar
of neglect.
like
Every time I
this,
called them,
like
they
bar.
said the man was
What's a
on
girl
his
doing
way.
like bar?
I became
Like girl,
insulting.
a
I
girl,
was
what's a
upset the
bar?
whole
What's
day.
this? Like
When I
a
wasn't being
girl,
rude,
like
I was
a bar
pounding
doing
her
a
ears
nice
with the
girl like
golden
a nice
stake.
bar.
She
What's a
hadn't
girl?
fear
What's
of
by
recording,
you?
but I
What's a
wasn't
nice
fooled.
bar like
I
this?
became more
What's a
foul than
bar
ever
in
and
a
drained
world like
myself of
this?
all logic.
What's a
I
nice
spun
girl
golden
doing like
webs,
you?
but no
What's
thread
a nice
connected.
bar doing
People
in a girl
marveled at
like
the beauty
you?
and
What's a
became
nice girl
disturbed.
like
They
you
returned
doing in a girl
endlessly
like
like
this?
satellites, but I was
What's a
always
nice
moving
girl
around. With
doing?
each new web, I changed my name, making them stumble upon me. As it grew colder, they began hauling bodies into the bar room. It was like breaking leaves. They were all so old, their skin rustled. The trucks rolled down 2nd Avenue all day. When they were full, they would drive west to New Jersey, but they were always the trucks. The lottery would begin in 8 days. I became totally manic, waking before dawn. I knew where all the bums slept. I could see the pinball machines through the window of Blimpies. The door was locked. There was no way. 2 boys were inside. They played them all night. I assumed they were friends of the management. I banged at the window, hoping to enticement. It was no use. I may as well have written to the president. I knew that they were after the Golden Stakes too, but from their accent I knew they were born outside the empire. Their holding patterns were flawed. I could see that even through the dark glasses. I began to wear sunglasses. I got a job standing on the corner looking out for the cops. This blind Greek was in charge. I took every advantage, replacing the money with green sheets of paper. I became more obscure. My motives were vague. I flirted with everyone who went by. I varied my accent hourly. It was hard to keep it all straight. The newsman caught on to me, but it didn't matter. He was only selling tickets. He wasn't after the stakes. I knew it was somehow all dependent. One error and I'd be out of the running. The newsman gave me an apron so I could be him when the hour demanded it. Even from my corner I could see the headlines, Empire Stakes in 6 days. It played on my nerves like a neon light. I got to know everyone on the street. I got charitable and signaled them when the cops approached. It was the only way they recognized me. They knew I was working for the blind man and thought that had something to do with it. There were roaches everywhere. I got so I would only smash the pregnant ones. It became a matter of priorities. They seemed to sense that the food was running out. They became desperate and brave, swarming my feet when I walked in. They became demented. They saw mirages in the toilet bowl. Every night my toilet would be clogged with their bodies. Eventually I abandoned it to them. I became a regular at the public Johns. I could see the turn things were taking. My whole building was out of work. The junkies stayed away, but I lived there. I didn't have to worry.
Shoulder to shoulder.
I began to plot my strategy more fully. I knew the stakes were not as arbitrary as they seemed. There were certain events connected only in the most obscure ways. I began to dissolve my mind. I put a tape recorder under my pillow. Time seemed endless and then meaningless. I began to have strange dreams consisting only of dull lights and tones. They consoled me in an indescribable way. I discovered an abandoned subway stop north of the Brooklyn Bridge. I built a fire in the bathroom. I memorized all the graffiti, mapped the location of each piece of debris. I discovered a station where the 6th train was always empty. I rode back and forth. It was a constant occurrance. Each passing hour made me more urgent. When people asked me what I did, I said, none of your business. This aroused their curiosity. They would discuss it among themselves, but could never remember my outward appearance. It was like the blind man and the elephant. The newsman kept quiet. Occasionally people mistook him for me. He never denied it. I realized he was integral. I became exhausted. I turned the radio on between stations. I began to dance. I was refreshed. I examined the walls on Wall Street. A tall black man walked by. He seemed too aimless. I followed him. He walked with a cane. An electrical device was hooked to his left ear. I sensed that something was amiss. I found a cane in the gutter. It looked too familiar. I knew I'd lost him. This was in some way important. I knew that the next time I saw him, he looked different, but I had memorized certain things. I knew he could never disguise them all. I was too adroit. No one could penetrate my reputation. I returned home. My apartment was in perfect order. Everything had been in place just as it was. There was the smell of meat cooking in the hall. I knew they were all unemployed. I could see the old men across the alley. They had no curtains, only a refrigerator and a table.
Do nice girl, what like bar like girl like this, doing a bar
I could hear my
like
neighbors snoring below me, so I knew I wasn't alone. But this was only a distraction. It was still dark. I headed down to the docks. My connection had a back to the door. This was unusual. I knew it had something to do with aces and eights. He'd always claimed to be a gambler, so I left him there. I had some inside information on the green light holding pattern. It was time time to check
once
it
a
out.
bar,
Broadway
always
was
a
the main
bar.
line. I synchronized my watch. My speed was immaculate, nothing but green as far as I could see. I ran it twice. It was perfect. I had copped an integral part of the pattern. But time was running out. In 5 days, the stakes would begin. People talked of nothing else. Desperation was the cue. Leaflets were dropped on the city for the liberation of an obscure country south of Yugoslavia. Most of them hit the river, but I caught one on the east bank. It was full of veiled references. I stuffed it in my pocket and headed for Horn and Harnhat. They had a special on eggs. I knew the vaccine.
I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree. I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree.
I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree.
I shot the sheep, but I did not shoot the maple tree. I wore a white shirt. It was the Asylum look. I hadn't slept for 3 days. I could fry an egg with my eyes. I had all the credentials. I carried a bag of dice. The impression was one of motion. The horses served as an excuse. I began to frequent the Blarney Stone. My obsession was unique, like a fat lady at Auschwitz. I felt right at home. They never turned the television off. The food was composed entirely of chemicals and coloring. The whole place shone like a transistor. But it was only a hideout, a return to the womb, so to speak. Everyone dreamed of the 4th of July. I bought an Inquirer from the newsman. It was total, like an air raid. They found a statue in Pennsylvania that bled ancient blood. It lacked the pop or color, but was otherwise genuine. They cut the hands off just to make sure. It was hollow, like a coffin. It seemed to bleed at random, but I knew there was a pattern. When I looked up, he was staring at me. He was immaculate. All his movements were rehearsed. He had only to insert them into time. He showed me his girls. They never got arrested. They were incarnations of a fantasy. On the side, they masqueraded as commercials. He wanted me to come upstairs. I told him I lived on the top floor. I never went upstairs with anyone. He pulled out a gun just to make sure. I recited the Pledge of Allegiance. The distortions weren't consciously perceivable. He was unnerved. He hadn't caught on to my position. I put a black X by his name. He was really quite minimal. I knew the power of appearances. His calculation was flawless, but I knew the code. I found a building marked Asylum. It was what I needed, so I went in. It was Napoleon Bonaparte all round. I'd noticed a certain lack. Their fixation was complete. They were incapable of revolving. I merely recorded information. They were useful, not a random collection. When I left, I set the place on fire. It would ensure me a first-place finish, if there was to be a finish at all. As I went into the subway, the old man ahead of me fell over dead. I thought nothing of it. Then I noticed there seemed to be a scarcity of old people. By the time I hit my station, there was no doubt about it. They were all over the place. It looked like nap time on Romper Room. Up there.
Finish it for the tape. I'll keep it in.
Oh, I can? I don't want to finish. Okay. It looked like nap time on Romper Room. I finally managed to get a hold of one just as he fell over. He only said that he was a Republican. I figured it all must have something to do with what the president said. Are we off the air, I hope?